What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, joined right now by Tim Simpson, who I almost had to stop myself because I was going to say Tim Simpson of the Paradigm Sports Management, but as of this week, that is no longer the case. You know, Tim is made some headlines this week by announcing that the firm that you had been with for how long since you've been in Paradigm?
7 years. Yeah, the public announcement was this week. I left former company in December of last year. Got rolling with the chosen few in January, and then got to a stage where this week was the perfect time to launch. So publicly from this week, but new beginnings.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a great time to launch it. He's launched the Chosen Advisory Group, which has some of the biggest names in the sport. Israel Adesanya, Leon, your guy from England, who is going to be defending his championship, Jiri Prochazka, a few others that we'll get to. And your boy Della Maddalena is fighting at the UFC 284. You're actually from Perth, so this is just a big week in general for you.
Yeah, it feels right, Like, this is where I grew up. Obviously, I'm in the US now, but I've been home for the past 10 weeks. Came back early December, spent Christmas and New Year's with the family, and I think the timing is great. The first time of the announcement, the first fight with the new company is here at home with Jack, who I'm so close with personally and professionally. So it's really exciting. It feels like it's meant to be. Yeah,
and I don't know if fans of other sports pay attention to this as much as MMA fans do, but management is a big part of this sport, and you guys are kind of in the limelight. I mean, I know that you're a guy who doesn't really seek it, but the way in which you're representing these guys and the deals that you're trying to make and the fights you're trying to make, it's the whole industry part of it is there as an appeal to it. The fans want to see it, not as much as the fights, but they're interested in it, So this is a major move. Paradigm has been known as one of the biggest firms for a lot of years. What details can you give us in terms of just this decision to branch out and do your own thing?
Yeah, the timing was right. The timing is right. Obviously, I owe a lot to Paradigm and my time there. I was 22 years old when I started in this industry. I was so young, and that was where I started my career, and I grew with them and helped grow that company and really built out my MMA department there. And I'm so thankful for the time there. It gave me the opportunity to grow in this game, but things change, and it was time for a change. I still have a great relationship with those guys, and I wish them nothing but happiness and success. And it was just the right time for me. There was a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of factors at play, but it was just time for us to go our separate ways. They're such a big company with so much great stuff going on, and they'll continue to do really well. And I'm just really excited and motivated to start this own journey in a different way.
Since you really kind of got into the industry, how would you say that it's changed? And now that you've created your own thing, what do you hope to accomplish? And what do you want people to come to think of, the way in which your advisory group, takes care of its fighters?
Yeah, I mean, when I started, it was, I think the Fox deal had just started, Reebok deal had just started. We weren't even on ESPN yet. And it feels like just the other day, but in the past 8 years, the industry's changed so much. I mean, you've been in it even longer than me. Like, the past 8 years, we've seen such a great change. I mean, the sale of the UFC was so big. We've just been getting pulled more and more into the mainstream. I think the ESPN deal was huge. So it's definitely growing in stature. It's growing in professionalism, I would say. It was kind of the Wild West on the management side, and I came into this as just a mega fan of MMA. Obviously I was a kickboxer and I was a lawyer and I had that background, but my motivation was always just to be in it because I love the sport so much. So part of me is so proud, as I feel like you're in the industry too. It's like there's someone that's proud that like this small niche sport is just growing, and now everyone's an MMA fan. So it's awesome to see that. And just to answer the other part of your question from the management perspective, what I want to be known for is just really high levels of client service. My goal, I only have 9 athletes, right? The goal is not to build, a massive company where there's 250, 300 athletes, anything like that, right? I want it to just be small and focused. I want to definitely travel a little bit less, not have my energy in so many different places, and by maintaining that, really give my all into this very small group of athletes, and just keep it really, really boutique, do a really good job, you know, be loyal to the guys, give everything to the guys and girls, and live a happy life.
Yeah. Maybe if you don't have a number on this, I'm assuming you maybe don't, but like ballpark, what's the biggest you would want to get?
I really don't know. You know, right now, 9 athletes, me and my business partner, Dan Maudsley, so just 2 staff and 9 athletes, and keeping it at that for now. I think, you know, even since the public announcement yesterday, I've had a load of interest of other athletes, and it's just about what can I manage correctly as far as providing the best possible service to the athletes, you know, on a day-to-day basis, on my ability to manage so many deals and so many contracts, and again, you know, without being selfish, maintaining my own energy as well. You know, for 7 years I've just been balls to the wall in a different city every week, and you know, having 30 consecutive conversations at the same time, and it's draining. So as much as this move is about my clients and everybody else, it's about myself too, and maintaining my own happiness and my own enjoyment. So I don't know, you know, we'll always scale, but any type of scale in as far as number of athletes will come with number of staff to manage that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not trying to be mega.
Yeah. Well, while we got you, obviously, let's talk about some of your clients. Actually, the first one I want to bring up is one that you haven't worked with previously, and that's Max Holloway. Because I think a lot, you know, of that list of fighters that you have, a lot of them looked familiar. Max was a different one. You know, how did that relationship start? And then also, Max is in an interesting part in his career. I don't think we need to sugarcoat it. Obviously, he's popular. He's great. He's lost to a very great champion now 3 times. What are you hoping to kind of accomplish, and where do you see Max's career going?
You know, the interesting thing I find is, obviously we're here in Perth this weekend. We have an interim featherweight title fight with 2 guys, and I mean no disrespect to either of those incredible athletes, but I think Max is above both of them. You know, he's just in that interesting spot where I think, obviously he had the fights with Volk, but I still think he's that next guy, yet there's a belt with 2 guys that, you know, he has a recent win over Yair, and again, respectfully to Josh Emmett, he would open as a massive favourite over Josh Emmett, and I would highly favour him in that fight. So it's an interesting position where this weekend someone's going to have the interim belt, but I'd say Max is on top of both of them. It's a strange position, right? So, and it makes sense because, you know, a 4th fight with Volk, we hope that happens, but it's probably not on the horizon in the immediate future. So beginning to work with Max, that was the question, right? It's like, where is your vision at, right? You know, how do you see this next step? And he's just ready to fight. You know, he said, man, you know, it's about still being that guy, and I still think he is that guy. You know, that you see some chatter, it's like, oh, you know, is it the decline? It's like, no, he had 2 razor close fights with the number 1 pound for pound guy in the world, and then the 3rd one, which was competitive as well. So it's like, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he has options at 155 if he wants to go there. We just did a fantastic new deal with the UFC for him in featherweight, and obviously he's going to be that guy where the new contenders are coming up, but he keeps sending him back. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. And you know, we'll see what happens too. Like Volk, you know, as an Australian, I hope Volk wins, and I hope Volk takes that belt, and then he probably has to decide which weight class he's in, and if he stays at 55, maybe 45 comes back up for Max for a title. So he's there and he's ready, and from the minute I started working with him, I feel that fire, and I think he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
So that's a little piece of news right there. It was the first contract that the advisory group ever signed. Was a Max Holloway new contract?
One of the first. There's a couple. You know, Mokaev announced his new contract. We did a deal for Muhammad. Casey O'Neill and Max were in the first batch. Yeah, just about the first week, so we got off to a hot start.
Next one, Izzy. I mean, we all know you have a close relationship with him. It's interesting because, you know, you've seen it from some analysts, and I even heard some other fighters just kind of privately say, like, I don't know if he should take this fight with Alex again right away, man, because it almost seems like there's a little bit of a curse. Like, you know, he's beaten this guy, and then something happens, whether it's, you know, controversial judging or, you know, a knockout in the 5th round, and it's like does he really want to turn around and take that fight again quickly? Because if he were to lose, then what would be next? You know, so it's just, it seems like a risky move by some people. Right. And as a guy who's close to him and advises him, I just wanted to give you a chance to, because that has been something that people have thrown out there in the media now.
Yeah, I understand that perspective, but again, I'll always guide any team decision making through Israel and Eugene, and there was never even a consideration otherwise for Israel, right? It was before. It wasn't even like it was a decision in his head. Immediately was, but the rematch is there, right? Yeah. So it wasn't even consideration to do anything else, and I understand that perspective, but fortune favors the brave, and I think in his mind, that narrative's easy, but you look at the fights. First one, I'm just going to say it was a robbery there in China. Second one, way ahead, gets caught. Third one, in MMA, up 3 rounds to 1 on all judges' cards, gets caught. It's like, I think if he went and he'd lost convincingly 3 times, then it's like, how am I going to climb this mountain? It's almost like, can lightning strike 4 times? I think that's more the perspective of like, I'm going to get this guy eventually. Yeah. So I think that's more where his head's at than any concern that, you know, it's a cursed fight or whatever. Yeah. He's just straight away that's my fight. Yeah.
And then Leon, of course. How's Leon handling champ life in England? We know that he hasn't always been the biggest on interviews, but now having that responsibility and building a fight in England, how has that been going? How's the prep been going?
It's good. I mean, it was a long victory lap. You know, he wins in August, and then he was just everywhere for a few months, and he enjoyed it, and I'm glad he enjoyed it. You know, I'm glad it wasn't like a quick turnaround, because you know more than anyone, you know, behind the scenes, you and I had a million conversations about Leon and how hard it was for him. So for him to get that limelight for the months afterwards, after being so, I don't want to say disrespected, but not getting that for so much of his career, I'm glad he could soak it up and enjoy it. And yeah, he was everywhere. And now, as we lead up to this next fight, it's like he understands like the media burden is going to be heavy. You know, he's doing a shoot today. It's about 8 a.m. in the UK. He's heading to a shoot today, or did the on-sale media day. Like it's heavy, you know. But speaking to the UFC staff that are here, either he's just getting better at it, right? And if you don't want to have that burden, don't be a world champion. You know, that's the perspective. It's like, do I want to complain about how much media and work and all the baggage that comes with being a champion? What's the answer? Don't be a champion. You know, it's like even Jack here in Perth, right? This is Jack's first real marquee fight. His schedule's so much bigger than it's ever been. And he's like, oh, you know, it's just a lot. And I'm like, well, be a worse fighter if you don't like it. You know, go get a different job. So it's just part of it. And you know, Leon's handling it like a pro. Jack's handling it like a pro, and it's just good to see. You know, that's a guy that have such a strong personal relationship with, and you know, my career in this industry is so closely tied to his career and his success, and you know, it means a lot to see the joy that spotlight gives him, and you know, he's just motivated for the next one.
Let me ask you one more quick thing about Leon. If he wins and Jorge Masvidal beats Gilbert Burns, what are the chances Tim Simpson is going into the UFC and saying we want a fight between Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards?
I mean, again, I'll always follow my athlete's lead, and I know that's what Leon wants. That's what Leon wants. So, and it would make sense, you know, from the. I would say I'm trying to rack my brain about who else is a contender there. There's no real standout next guy, you know.
Okay, Colby, Bilal.
Yeah, and those haven't fought. Like if you're going to look at what you've got on the table, there he goes. He beats Kamaru. It's like, and Jorge wins. What is the most compelling fight? Do you want a Colby or a Bilal or a Jorge? It's like everyone wants to see the Jorge fight. Like, call it, you know, fair or whatever. It's like everyone wants that. So I think Leon wants that. I would love to see it. So yeah, very good chance that if that all lines up, that's what we'll see.
Such a twist, man, that no one wanted to fight Leon for so many years, and now it's like everybody wants to fight him. So last one that I'll ask you about specifically is Jiri. You know, where are we at with the shoulder recovery, and what is like the time frame of his potential return? Yeah,
he's in. So he had his surgery in the Czech Republic. He's begun his rehab there. He arrived in Las Vegas last week, so he's there at the PI with Heather Linden and the great team there, and he's ahead of schedule, but also it's something where, as a 30-year-old guy, why rush and not be ready? Because, you know, obviously the Jamal fight there, and you got the temptation of, like, got to get to it, but then you got your whole career ahead of you, and why go in undercooked, right? So it's that balance between he's doing so well with his recovery, better than anyone I've ever seen. He's months ahead, but he doesn't want to rush, and that's the right decision, right? It would be very easy to get overexcited and say, no, I'm in, but practicing patience is what I'll say.
For sure.
Timeline-wise, I don't know for sure. You know, it'll certainly be earlier than the year that was originally estimated, but we don't really have an exact timeline yet. But I'd say, you know, we'll get through summer and see where we're at from there.
Yeah, it's only February.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like,
you got
as
the
much
surgery.
as we want him back, if fans want him back, I'm sure he wants to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only February.
Exactly.
Well, man, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for the time.
Appreciate it,
And yeah, we'll be looking forward to speaking to you, you know,
Definitely,
as
mate.
it goes on, and see how your roster accumulates. But in the meantime, congratulations, man, on this big announcement.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's amazing. The support's been amazing. You know, I'm blown away with how kind everyone's been, and, you know, support from everyone in the industry. So it means a lot.
Awesome. Appreciate it, dude.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.